Hey guys, it's been a while since we put out our last YouTube video. I think that it was at Challenge Bathurst of 2023. Since we do have some spare time until the time attack season starts up again, I thought I'd give you guys a bit of a build overview. So what we'll do is we'll go through what modifications have been done to the Subaru, both interior, exterior, suspension, aero, engine management, and some interior stuff with regards to the new sequential gearbox and paddle shift system. And hopefully that will answer some of the questions that you guys have been asking. Let's kick it off. So starting off with the Subaru's engine bay, there's probably a couple of parts that stand out to you straight away. First one being the Garrett turbo. So on the Subaru, we're running a Garrett G3770. That's partnered up with obviously a Process West billet intake manifold. That's a standard orientation. We've got a upgraded Bosch throttle body, all Plasmaman intercooler clamps, so we don't have to worry about silicon joiners popping off at the track. Next thing, which is probably one of the biggest I would say, so running a Roger Clark Motorsport dry sump. So that's helped us a lot in terms of a reliability perspective. We don't really have to worry about oil pressure issues anymore, which is really good. We're running a radium fuel pressure regulator that's partnered up with, you might be able to see there, we're running radium billet fuel rails with Injector Dynamics 1750cc injectors. A couple other bits and pieces to mention. So on the Subaru, we're running a custom radiator done by FE Motorsport. As you can see here, it's all sort of the breathers and overflow for the engine. And in terms of engine, we're running an IAG Stage 4 tough bottom end with built Subaru heads. So we're running a 272 cam with 1mm oversized valves and some porting. And just finishing off the engine base side, from a cooling perspective, we're running a Process West intercooler with a set RAB oil cooler sitting behind there. It's quite a tall, thin one, which is really good to get rid of the heat. So yeah, that pretty much finishes the engine bay of the Subaru. So that finishes up the Subaru's engine bay. So what I thought we might do is run through a bit of the interior stuff. So I'll run through the Motec electronics package we've got in the car, partnered with their paddle shift system. And then obviously seat, roll cage, and a couple other bits and pieces. So we're running a Motec C127 dash. We've got different pages set up on this one. So this is obviously one of the pages that we've got set up. So you've got gear select in the middle, speed to the left of that, coolant temp, and then below that lap time. And then across the bottom, you've got running lap time, gain or loss for that particular lap time, and then your last lap time down the bottom right-hand side. Then we'll flick through the pages. So a bit of a similar setup here. So you've got your standard kind of tacho with gear select still in the middle. And then this is probably one of the main pages. So you've got all your sort of main numbers that you need to look at. So you've got coolant temp, fuel pressure, coolant pressure, E85 percentage. The great thing about this page here is you've actually got 3 or 4 pages within this one, which you can actually go through. So you've got sort of fuel mixture, engine hours, exhaust lambda. Then here you've got your wheel speed sensors. And then finally, you've got paddle up, paddle down, gear shift, and gear voltage. So from a seating perspective, as mentioned, we've got the Racetech 119 seat. That's partnered with a Sabelt GT racing harness. So this one's a 6-point harness. So you've got your 2 side belts there and then your 2 middle belts there. And that really keeps you tight in that seat. One of the main safety items that we've got in this car is a full weld-in roll cage. So this was done by the guys at Ministry Roll Cages. They've done a killer job with this one. Very tidy, very happy with it. And then the main thing is it's obviously keeping me safe when we get to the kind of higher speed tracks, the likes of Bathurst and Phillip Island. One of the other great things about having a roll cage means that you can run a window net or a safety net Although it's not required in the time attack category that we run in, I'd much rather spend money on safety equipment because it means you have the best opportunity possible if you do have a bad accident that you're able to walk out. A couple other bits and pieces to go along with the Subaru's interior. So as you can see here, we're running a gear selector display. From a engine management perspective, we're running a Motec M150 ECU. Next to this is, in this silver box, is the air tank that goes with the air paddle shift system. And then there we're running a LiFuMax Carbon Series battery. This one's really good because it's got 800 cranking amps, so it's perfect for cars that are running E85. In the Subaru, we're also running a comms or communication system. This is really good from a safety perspective. If there is any danger ahead on the track that the driver can't see, it means that their team can radio into them and just make them aware of that. You can also see here, we've got a Motec in-car camera that's great from capturing obviously in-car footage, and also the great thing about this is it does connect to the ECU, so you're getting some of those core statistics as well. You can see there a bit better look at the back mount for the Racetech seat, and obviously the sab belt harness that we're running there. Awesome, so now that we've covered off the interior of the vehicle, I thought I'd give you a bit closer look at the exterior. So what we'll do is we'll cover the aero that we've got installed on the vehicle. We'll look at the panels that are installed, the livery that Jeremy from ProApps has installed, and yeah, just give you a bit closer look at the Subaru itself. Let's do it. So starting off with the front end of the Subaru, as you can see, we're still running a factory STI front bumper. There has been some modifications made to this, mainly to do with aero. This is obviously forcing the air to go through the intercooler and the oil cooler. And then you can see some block offs here that have been made on either side of the front bumper. You can also see a front splitter. This is a Sydney Composites universal front splitter, and this runs from the front of the car through to where the front diff starts. Moving on to the side of the car. So as you can see, these front fenders here do look a bit different to your factory front fenders. On the STI, we are running a set of genuine Varis front fenders, which are roughly about 10 mil wider than your factory front fenders. We are also running Varis side skirts. So these ones have a little bit more aero in comparison to the standard side skirt. And then from the rear end, we are still running a factory rear bumper, as you can see there. For side mirrors, we're running APR GT style side mirrors. This is mainly for a weight reduction aspect. And then the latest modification that has been done to the car is Lexan windows. So basically every window besides the front windscreen has been replaced with Lexan windows. This has saved us quite a bit of weight in comparison to the standard windows. From a roofing aspect, as you can see here, we are running a dry carbon roof, so not the factory roof that you might find on an STI. This particular model STI did come with a sunroof also. This has been removed and we've replaced the roof with a dry carbon shell. This did shed a lot of crucial kilos, particularly towards the top end of the car. So the center of gravity has been improved, and I would say the overall balance of the car has been improved as well. From an aero point of view, we're also running a rear wing. So this is a Sydney Composites swan neck rear wing. This has been built to Club Sprint time attack specifications, and it basically is the height of the car. So it maxes out at the same height as the roof, and also is the same width of the car. Having a bit closer look at the rear wing of the STI, as you can see here, it is a dual element rear wing. This provides us some additional downforce and also has some increased adjustability. The wing is actually chassis mounted, and I'll show you what that looks like from the inside of the boot, where it does have some additional bracing that has been welded in. And then from a rear end, we're running a carbon fiber boot and still the factory rear bumper, and you can see the NVIDIA exhaust system there. Now having a look where the wing actually mounts to the inside of the car, as you can see, there is some extra bracing that has been welded in for the chassis mount of the rear wing. This has added some increased strength for the rear end of the car and has also added some strength towards where the wing actually mounts to the car, as the downforce levels that we do reach are quite high. From a wheel aspect, we're running WED Sport TC 105Xs in a satin black. With these, the usual tyre that we do run, depending on what class that we're racing in, is the Hankook Z221 R-Spec tyres. We have run these in both a soft and medium compound, and the medium seems to hold up a bit more in terms of more laps, versus the soft compound is obviously a bit faster outright, but obviously not many laps that you can do on these. One aspect to also add in terms of the wheels is we're also running extended studs front and rear. This is a really good idea for any serious track enthusiast. Basically, stronger studs and also provides more stud length for your wheel nuts to actually grab onto. So yeah, it's a really good safety item, and I recommend anyone that is seriously tracking their car, this should be one of the first things that you do. Now having a bit closer look at the livery itself on the STI, I've got to say this is probably my favorite livery. There has been a couple of reiterations that we've done on the car since we started racing it. Basically, this is a design of Jeremy's. It incorporates a satin black with a gloss black towards the front end, and then the Hexus fluoro yellow and fluoro orange that we've got there. I really like this. It's definitely a standout in comparison to the other Time Attack cars. I think we're one of the few that's running a black livery, and I think it really suits the shape of the vehicle. So yeah, really happy with this one. So now we've had a closer look at the exterior of the vehicle. What I might do is now hoist the car up, and we'll get to have a bit better look at the underside of the car. We'll basically be looking at the suspension components of the vehicle, a bit better look at the aero, and some of the other bits and pieces that make up this fast Time Attack car. So now looking at the underside of the car towards the front end, as you can see here, we're utilizing a BC Racing custom spec coilover with Goodrich braided brake lines. We're still running the factory STI lower control arm, the alloy arms, running a aftermarket front sway bar with some other adjustable end links, and we're running some aftermarket tie rod ends. Obviously a lot beefier than your factory STI ones. Having a bit better look at the underside of the front splitter, as you can see, it does extend quite far back on the front of the car. This is also chassis mounted, so similar to the rear wing. And then as you can see here, we do have some inbuilt tunnels on either side of the front splitter. This does help to obviously get the air underneath the car and hopefully try to get it out as fast as possible. This splitter is all one carbon fiber piece. In focusing on some other aspects, as you can see here, this is the tank for the dry sump, so the oil tank. We've got a breather located there. And then as you can see, we've got some braided line. This actually runs to a surge tank to the rear of the vehicle, and I'll give you a bit better closer look at that. In having a bit better look at the surge tank that we've got mounted in the STI, As you can see here, we've got a Process West surge tank. It does have a single pump in this one, quite a large single pump that we've got. And then as you can see there, we've got lines running to and from the front of the car. And finishing off with the rear end of the vehicle, just looking at the suspension side, as you can see here, we're running a Cusco lower control arm. We've got billet white line end links for the rear sway bar. Again, VC racing coilovers in the rear. You might be able to see there as we're running a hard race upper control arm. And then obviously got some other Cusco and Y-line bits and pieces to give us some extra adjustability in terms of rear end, looking at caster and camber and toe in, toe out. And just finishing it off in terms of exhaust system, as you can see, we've got a custom titanium 3.5-inch dump pipe that runs into a 3-inch NVIDIA G5 Titan titanium single exit. In having a bit closer look at the brake package that we're running on the STI, as you can see here, we are running an Alcon TA6 Plus caliper in the front and a TA4 Plus caliper in the rear. We are running 355mm floating rotors. Currently, we're running endless Japan brake pads. We do have an exciting new sponsor that's coming on board for 2024 that's covering brakes, so we see new rotors and pads. So make sure to keep your eyes on our social media to see who's coming on board to support us. So that finishes off our build overview video here for the Subaru. Hopefully that's answered some questions that you may have had. If you do have any further questions, feel free to shoot those through via our social media platforms, particularly Facebook and Instagram, and we'll get those answered. We'll be back out on track very soon for 2024 with some upcoming events that are scheduled. So please keep your eyes peeled on our social media, and hopefully we'll be able to put out another trackside video very shortly. Thank you for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe.